What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 updates, with a bunch of commentary from Bungie regarding the updates we've had this week, as well as additional changes. So firstly, Bungie talk about future infusion costs with the removal of unstable cores, which is coming up in Renegades, as well as clarifying a few things about the update we had this week, power on bonus drops, and of course we got the free chest, the supply drop of powerful gear. They talk about that and the additional changes we had this week, and then of course we get new catalysts for Wolfsbane in the Heliostat mission. But additionally, there's a bit of commentary regarding Renegades from the official press release that confirms a few light details about some of the content that we'll get in the expansion, new vented weapons, pursuits, and a handful of other things. So we've got a bunch of stuff to round up today. First up though, today's video is sponsored by Rocket Money. Of course, everything is getting more expensive these days, whether it's buying food, paying your rent, paying for your car, or even things like subscriptions, and I was pretty shocked at how much money I was spending every month on stuff that I don't really use. So recently, I've been paying attention to where I spend my money so that I can focus on more valuable things in life, and that's where Rocket Money is here to help. So it's an all-in-one personal finance app that helps lower bills, cancel subscriptions, and manage your money better. The thing I like the most is that Rocket Money can help identify and cancel unwanted subscriptions. So if you connect your bank account to the app, Rocket Money can place all of your subscriptions in a single list, and that makes it really easy to select ones that you don't want anymore. Plus, the app may even be able to help you cancel with just a few taps. Additionally, Rocket Money can help you negotiate your bills, so it'll scan your recurring bills to find savings, and the app's negotiators can work for you to try and get the best possible rate. And if you're looking to save, it can even automatically analyze your statements to find the optimal time to save based on your spending habits. So if you set a savings goal and frequency, you can go ahead and watch your savings start to grow. Plus, you can edit, pause, or withdraw that money at any time. So Rocket Money is extremely useful, and right now you can get a free trial. So if you're looking to save more and spend less, join over 5 million members using Rocket Money already. And if you scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description box, you'll get all of the details. It's totally worth checking out the free trial, and thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring the video. Initially today, we'll start with a couple of updates from Bungie. Of course, the big thing yesterday that they spoke about was regarding unstable cores, which they've essentially said they are completely scrapping when we get to Renegades. So, as I said yesterday, in a world where Bungie can't have that currency be absolutely absurdly expensive in terms of infusion costs, they've pretty much determined that there's no reason to have it whatsoever. And I'd say that more or less aligns with where most players have probably been for the duration of their existence so far. Either way, we got that big drop of unstable cores in the chest that you can pick up in the tower now. Those are basically there to fill the gap, so unless we spend them all, we can essentially pretend that unstable cores don't exist right now. Then, when we get to Renegades, they will have been completely phased out, but in terms of future infusion costs, the Destiny 2 team do say they will be closer to what they were before the Edge of Fate, and we expect to have exacts in the coming days. As Bungie have said, infusion in future will cost an amount of enhancement cores as well as glimmer, so after all of this messing around, development time, actually producing unstable cores, implementing that into the system, Bungie will ultimately bring us all the way back around to more or less where we were before Edge of Fate dropped. I could sit and make sarcastic comments about it, but the important part is that they're going away, they're now irrelevant. Next up though, with Bungie dropping the catch-up chest that we get in the tower, of course it was largely dropping TechSec gear, that was literally the name of it, the TechSec supply drop, which catches all players up to 300 power, and I believe if you're above 300 already, all of that gear is +1 from your current power level, so it's a little bit of free loot regardless. However, players with large amounts of unstable cores already did wonder how to actually collect the unstable cores from the chest. And Bungie confirm you should be able to claim this after the amount of unstable cores in your inventory drops below 222,000, so I actually encountered the same issue. Importantly though, this chest does stick around until the end of the season, so you can pretty much spend what you already have if you're affected by that, before grabbing the remainder from the chest. Bungie also clarifies something that was missing in the patch notes this week, where all bonus drops now get power matching the other scored engrams that drop at the same time. So, as we've said, it is worth playing activities with the highest number of bonus drops initially, as that will give us the most power in the fastest way. I haven't played a ton since this update dropped, but largely the power changes seem to be going down pretty well. Obviously that's in relation to purely adjusting the power. It's certainly beneficial nonetheless, for players who want to level up before we get to Renegades, given that we're not seeing that power reset. There are also a lot of concerns about the power delta changes, which, on the most part, for players playing Grandmaster or Ultimate difficulty content, don't seem to be too bad, but you'll have to give me your experiences with that down below. The other component this week is that we can indeed earn all of the remaining Wolfsbane catalysts. So there's this new kind of simple elevator puzzle, which enables us to get into some side rooms halfway up the elevator to pick up and input a data pad. The other one we found on our first run was during the big jump-in section, where there's another datapad to input. Importantly though, if you want to get all of the upgrades, you can essentially do one big full run of Heliostat and get every intrinsic and every catalyst without having to repeat the mission a bunch of times. So, to be fair, players have asked for that for a long time for Bungie not to time gate all of the catalysts, so I'll link a video from 360 Game TV down below with a full run through showing all of the secrets that will allow us to get a maxed out Wolfsbane in literally around 30 or 40 minutes, and then it's done. You don't have to play Heliostat again if you don't want to. And overall, the update this week, while it has really dropped too late in some ways, does at least move things forward in a positive way. And of course, it doesn't fix the portal, which players have a lot of issues with, but in terms of power, economy, and of course the implications for Renegades, Bungie have finally taken some relatively big swings in speeding up progression overall, so give me your thoughts about it down below. And further on the subject of Renegades, some info here from a press release associated with the upcoming DLC and the remainder of this season, on top of the fact that Bungie will not reset our power level when we go into that next expansion, which is something extra to keep in mind, as well as the unstable core thing. A bit more info here from some of the stuff that we had in the Vidoc for Renegades. We can unlock upgradable Renegade abilities unique to the Lawless Frontier, earn new weapons and gear, and rebuild reputation with shady syndicate factions through the Notoriety system to expand their arsenal. Renegades also introduces a new weapon archetype, the Blaster, which is inspired by Star Wars and built for Destiny 2. These energy-based weapons draw ammo directly from your reserves, and they feature a unique heat management system. And as we saw from some of the footage, they do have these kind of vented reloads, a bit similar to third iteration actually, which feels like it may have been an early test bed for the mechanic and the animation itself. Separate to that, the other big new archetype will be the lightsaber. Yes, it's essentially a sword, but Bungie had said that it's going to behave kind of like Ergo Sum in terms of the fact that it'll have various upgrades, potentially even archetype differences. And it's going to be a major exotic pursuit for Renegades, so it's basically Ergo Saber, I suppose. But reading on, in the Lawless Frontier, Guardians will take on high-risk, high-reward jobs to complete contracts, such as smuggling, bounty hunting, and sabotage, either solo or with a fire team. These missions span 3 planets and 6 maps inspired by iconic Star Wars locations. And as we saw, there's a Venus world. Obviously, this will have 2 different maps, the same for Europa and additionally Mars, so technically not free roam in the traditional sense, or indeed explorable destinations in terms of them being sort of open world. I'm sure there'll be things that we can pick up and find though on these planets, but it touches on invasion here, which allows players to opt in for additional challenges and rewards by enabling other Guardians to invade the battlefield. This introduces a layer of strategic unpredictability where greater risk will yield greater rewards. So that's just a tiny bit more information about Renegades. Once again, it will be a smaller expansion than what we were having before this year, but there's certainly potential there. We'll just have to see how it pans out. This press release also says the annual Festival of the Lost event makes its return on October 21st, bringing along a host of new weapon holofoils and masks for Guardians to don as they collect candy and pursue ghoulish rewards. So that's going to be starting next week. We've looked at some of the weapons. Of course, armor cosmetics, there'll be an additional component where Festival armor can apply different set bonuses by the way of mods. I've seen questions about exotic class items and whether they'll be farmable from the event once again like last year. At this precise moment, I don't know, but Bungie will no doubt talk about Festival during this week's twit, so I guess we'll find out soon. Otherwise, this confirms the date for the Call to Arms event, so closing out the first major update with Ash and Iron is the new Call to Arms event from November 11th up until December 1st. It'll be available to all players and invites them to go head-to-head across several portal activities, complete their seasonal gear collection, earn exclusive cosmetics, and more, so as we discussed a few days back, there'll be attunement to farm for a handful of weapons that we've had introduced this season. That will include the submersion crossbow. There'll be daily shipment chests, bonus loot, as well as bonus power, and a bunch of other unique items associated with it, so it will be an end-of-season catch-up. And again, I know that a lot of players don't like the current systems in Destiny 2, but given that we're not resetting power for Renegades now, these events giving boosted rewards is at least beneficial if you want to head into Renegades with some good builds already equipped, and the ability to earn tier 5 loot, because presumably if you're over 450 power, we'll be getting tier 5 stuff off the bat when we head into Renegades, unless of course they adjust the way that that stuff is earned by way of, requiring higher difficulty activities and things. Although I wouldn't really be against that, I would prefer that over the power grind being the sort of main gateway to higher tier loot. Regardless, a few extra bits of interesting info right there from the press release, and give us your thoughts below. For today, that is everything we have to round up, so I hope as always that you found the video interesting, and if you have, a rating very much helps me out on the channel. Be sure as well to get subscribed and I will keep you up to date with everything related to Destiny 2. Otherwise though, I super appreciate you all tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.